Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. So today we get to take a look at the 2023 Hyundai Elantra N. Huge shout out to Gary at Hendrick BMW Northlake. Definitely check out their website. They have a lot of awesome inventory, but we are going to take a look at his car today, so huge shout out to him. This model here is finished off in Performance Blue. They have an MSRP right around $33,000, and this is powered by a 2-liter 4-cylinder turbo. This model is paired to the 6-speed manual transmission. It pumps out 275 horsepower and 289 pound-feet of torque. That power is sent to the front wheels, propelling this 3,300-pound sedan from 0 to 60 in 6.4 seconds. Top speed is 155 miles an hour. It also has a fuel capacity of 12.4 gallons. You'll expect to see around 22 miles per gallon in the city, 31 out on the highway. This also has a wheelbase of 107.1 inches. Its overall length is 184.1. It has a width of 71.9 and a height of 55.7 inches. As we move on to the exterior styling now for the Elantra N, you'll notice right off the bat all of the red accents surrounding the lower section. It complements this Performance Blue very nicely. And up front, this does have a pretty large grille, but there's also a lot of cutouts to provide additional cooling for up front and badges on that passenger side. This does have a nice sleek setup for the headlight housings. Underneath that, there's some more black trim, and there's even some functional cutouts in the far section of the bumper there, just to provide some more aerodynamics. There's even more cutouts in the lower section. And then very nice subtle lines that make a V shape coming down both sides of the Hyundai logo. So it flows very nicely, gives it a great front end. For the side on the Elantra N, this has a set of 17-inch wheels with the red brake calipers, two-tone and multi-spoke design for those wheels as well. There's an N logo stamped in that lower side skirt. And then this has gloss black side mirrors with the turn signal. And check out the aggressive lines for basically that front door. They split off to the rear door there, but a very nice intricate design. It splits off behind that door handle and works its way to the back taillights. And the Elantra N also gets a massive gloss black spoiler. So this Hyundai has a pretty cool sporty spoiler for it. This has a backup camera, all the parking sensors, and then even more of the red accents in the lower section, the dual exhaust, some fins in that lower diffuser. They even gave the light right in the middle a nice point to it to give it more of a sporty look and accent to it. Let's move on to the cargo space now, where you can use the button on the key fob or just push on this hidden button just underneath the Hyundai badge, and we can open up the lightweight trunk lid from there. Now, first thing you are going to notice is the red strut bar going between the back seats and the trunk. You can fold the back seats down by pulling the tabs on both sides, so that does give you more interior space. However, you do have that's kind of in the way. You just have to put some items through that as needed. So you still get the benefits, but you also get more of a rigid structure for this sporty vehicle. And aside from that, the trunk itself is massive. So you have a lot of space to make this a practical daily driver, and that trunk lid is super light, so that is easy to close. But let's work our way to the back seats now. The door panel has Alcantara on it, along with some plastics in the lower section there. For the price point, that is going to be expected, but the Alcantara makes it look very nice. A little bit of storage down below. And then take a look at the leather and Alcantara back seats with all the blue stitching. Matches nicely with the exterior, of course. Now, once in the back at 5'10", I have plenty of space. Now, there's no storage pockets behind both front seats. There's no air vents in the middle there either, but you have plenty of room and a nice, comfortable place to be. And as far as visibility goes, it's very open in the back, and I have about an inch above my head. I'm kind of just up against it there, but it's nice and comfortable. I could easily ride around town in the back, have two other people next to me, so it's practical for people to be in the back, and then you can get a look at the cutouts with those front seats there. So it's very nice to be in the back. And then for the driver door panel, we have more of that Alcantara, all of the window adjustments, side mirror controls, and then plenty of storage down below. The N badge is also down on the door sill, along with the trunk release and fuel cap release. And then take a look at the front end seats. More of that leather and Alcantara. They are manual adjusting, and they do have the illuminating N badge in the back of the headrest, along with those cutouts that I mentioned earlier. very nice sport performance seat for this vehicle. And then once we hop inside, check out the leather steering wheel that's perforated and solid with more of the blue stitching and badges down below. Now on this left side, there's voice commands along with Bluetooth controls, volume and tuning, and a favorites button. On the right side, there's controls for the steering assist, as well as your adaptive cruise and cruise control settings. There's also 2 N modes, and then your rev matching too. But let's fire this up to go through all of that. So with my foot on the brake and the clutch, that button is over on the right side, we can fire this up. And looking at the gauge cluster, on the left side is miles per hour, right side is the tach, and then right in the middle, you can go through that info with those buttons I showed on the right side of the steering wheel. So there's some vitals that you can scroll through. You can even go into your miles per hour there, pull up some more driver information like your fuel average and info like that. You can pull up a compass, as well as look at TPMS, and then you're back to the adaptive cruise and the attention level. Now, if you use this N button over on the left side, this will go through 3 different driving modes. So there's sport mode, there's eco, and then there's normal. The entire digital gauge cluster will change too to give you some really nice graphics. And then the N button on the right side is the actual N mode. So once I push on that, the entire tach will change, where you have some vitals on that right side. Pretty much all of your performance driving vitals are in front of you, along with how the vehicle is set up. So engine, steering, and suspension will all go into the most aggressive setting for N mode itself. If you push on N again, you can go into a custom setting where that will pull up in the infotainment system there. And you can go through the N standard or the custom, so you can set up everything the way that you would like to. And then underneath that is the active rev matching. So you can turn that on and off. You can heel toe yourself, or you can let the car do that for you. So very nice to see all of that. Now on this left side, there's a dimmer switch, lane keeping assist, along with traction control. This right here is actually nothing. It's just a diagram right there. Maybe in a future Elantra N model, this will be something. It would be nice to have some kind of touchscreen system to go over maybe more of that N information you can customize on that side. And then right in the middle for the infotainment system, this is the calm screen with the map. You have some vitals on that left side, but then you can also go through a lot more icons like your N mode. So in N mode, you can look at your throttle, you have some other temps, lap timer. You can even go to circuit here and take a look at several different tracks and how they are laid out. Very interesting to see that, but a pretty cool, interesting fact about this vehicle. And then this is how you can customize everything that I mentioned earlier. You have steering, suspension, rev matching, even the electronic limited slip differential and your exhaust, along with G-force, even launch control. So you can activate for this model, which is awesome to see. As far as all of your daily driving apps, there's your phone, navigation, you have the climates to get into, and a few others that you can go into as needed. Now underneath that, there's the air vents that go all the way to the passenger side. And then there's also physical buttons for that screen. So you can quickly get into the map, the navigation, you can go into your favorites. So you can pull up, this is currently set up with the N setting, which is awesome to see. You have set up power and volume right in the middle. So it's a, again, very easy system to use. You have a lot of shortcuts there. Now underneath that, these are all the climate adjustments. So the fan speed's right in the middle, temperature dials are on both sides. And then underneath that, you can gain access to the heated seats, defrosters, as well as some more of the circulation system. Underneath that, there's some more auxiliaries, even wireless charging, and a lot of space where you can place additional items. And then with that 6-speed manual, the N logo is also on the back section. To put this into reverse, we will pull the release up, go over to the left, and then up again. And there is the backup camera. You have 2 different angles, just depending on what you need to see, and then some settings to go into. And then behind that, there's 2 cup holders. There's the manual parking brake. The glove box is right in the middle where you have a good amount of space. There's also a grab handle for your passenger. And then there's also the glove box where you have a lot more space. Up top, there's all the dome lights, a few emergency controls. And then looking over both shoulders, it's very easy to see around. It's a small size sedan, but the pillars are pretty thin. So even over that left shoulder, you have plenty of view. As we set off now behind the wheel for the Hyundai Elantra N, The first thing that I want to talk about is the 6-speed manual transmission. I think it's so cool that Hyundai offers a manual for this family style sedan. You can get the 8-speed automatic if you're not a 3 pedals type of person, but the fact that they have a manual in this car, I think is very cool. It definitely adds a little bit more of the sporty characteristics. It's not quite as fast as the automatic, of course, but if you want to roll through those gears yourself, it's a very nice manual to drive. The clutch pedal is super light and the shifter is pretty notchy and engaging, so I like how it drives with those aspects to it. But let's pop it into the N mode now, because what I've been told is that you get a lot more of the pops while you're driving and not under the revs that I mentioned earlier. There we go. So mild acceleration, it's not quite that loud, but it's nice to hear. It just adds a little bit more of that sporty driving to this car. But this is a very fun, and I would say kind of an underrated sporty vehicle in this segment. We have other models like the Honda Civic SI. There's also maybe the Subaru WRX, a sedan like that. Where we have the Hyundai now that actually has a good bit of performance. So if you're looking for something, and I will say that I think this is the nicest of interiors that I have seen in this price point. We're in the mid $30,000 range. So there's definitely other cars that fit in this price point, and I think this is a very nice interior. As you've already seen, it's pretty upscale. There is some plastic in some areas, but that's going to be the same across the price point for other cars like this. But as far as driving it goes, it's definitely a quick car. It has a lot more potential than what I'm throwing at it today. And these seats are very comfortable. I love the support that they have. So coming around turns like this, it's a very solid car. We have that cross brace that I mentioned earlier to give this more structure and rigidity. But at the same time too, I wouldn't say it's a harsh ride. I have it in N mode at the moment, so everything is pretty much as aggressive as it could be. I like vehicles like that, especially if you're driving something like this. But let's say you're going on a long trip with it and you want to tone it back. You can put it into different modes here and make that suspension a little bit more soft and a little bit more comfortable for longer seat time. And then with it in its normal setting, you really don't even hear the car. So there is a slight difference with that exhaust. And I will also say that it is well refined. It is a Hyundai, and Hyundai has come a long way over the last several years. When people think of Hyundai, they think of 10-year-old Hyundais, but Hyundai today is a vehicle that you should put on your list. You can get a brand new vehicle for a very affordable price. 36 grand is well under the average price of a brand new vehicle today. And you get a sporty and fun family style sedan that you can just have a blast with. But let's slow it down. We are going to go into second gear. We'll give it another acceleration. Here we go. We got one pop in that upshift, and it's definitely a pretty quick car for that acceleration. And even in N mode right now, I like how it's driving. It's also very quiet, it's comfortable to drive. This is a commuter daily driving sedan that gives you some of that added horsepower just to make it that much more fun to drive. So if you're looking for something that's going to be very fuel efficient, but you also want something that's going to give you power, we have pretty tight steering here, but a nice turnaround radius, but it definitely has that direct steering, and it's going to give you that fun factor, so that way you can have the best of both worlds. I think it's a really great option to go with for this segment, and it's very nice to drive. So I don't have any complaints for it for the time that I've been behind the wheel. If you're in the market for a fun, sporty sedan, definitely put the Elantra on your list. The fact that they offer an auto and a manual, I think, is a plus. So that way they can appeal to more buyers, and just depends on what you would like for your daily driving sporty Hyundai. But that is going to wrap it up for the Elantra N. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, give it a huge thumbs up. consider smashing that subscribe button so you don't miss out on our daily uploads. I will see you all in the next video.